I really do hope I didn't have red lipstick on my teeth the last 2 videos that I filmed. Hello there, INFOrmed Beauties. Your girl Euniycemari here, and so today I'm going to be giving you guys tips on how to get the perfect brow. Okay, because there's no such thing as the perfect brow, but perfect for you. If you're new to my channel, hello, my name is Euniycemari, and my channel is all about informative beauty, from skincare, hair care, makeup, DIY, all that fun stuff. If you're not subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and click that subscribe button, turn on your post notification bell so you're notified when I upload. And if you like what I do here on my channel, give your girl a big thumbs up and share me with the world. Okay, so let's talk about the brows. All right, the brows are a complicated subject. Okay, so my camera cut off. I don't know quite where my camera cut off with me, talking about the brows or beginning to talk about the brows, but we'll just rewind. But the brows are something that everybody wants to look perfect, and the thing about brows is that they're not perfect. There are a lot of different factors that go into how your brows are going to look and how far you can really go with them to get that Instagram brow, or just to have a full, thick, all the way around, very perfect, even, they're the same type of brow. Now, for my brows, if you guys have been rocking with me for a while, if you watch a couple of my makeup tutorials, you guys know these aren't my brows. There's no way. This is all pomade that I put on. My brows are not any way the same. They are very sparse. One brow has more of an arch than the other one, so I have to create a brow with an arch. I have to create tails. Like, there's a lot of creativity that goes into my own personal brows. And I also have other tutorials about my brows and how I fill them in with pencils, all that. So I will leave all that down below for you guys to go and check out and just see my own experience with me and my brows. Okay, so let's jump into these tips here. And what are some good tips when it comes to you getting the perfect brow, or perfect brow for you, as I should say. So number 1 is take a realistic look at your brows. Don't go through the Instagram feed and look at some girl who has super thick eyebrows and go, oh, I want my eyebrows to look like hers, so let me go to my wax lady and tell her to make me have a super thick, way arched up brow. That is not realistic, sweetheart. I'm sorry. If somebody, there are people who naturally have a very thick brow, they have a lot to work with, and they are very blessed, okay? But people like me, there's no way I'm gonna get a thick, very arched, or a thick brow. It's not going to happen. So you have to really look at your eyebrows realistically and think about that. What is the shape of your brow? Do you have a tail? This is the tail of the brow, the end of the brow. Is it very thin? Is it thicker? Like, can you afford to remove some hair from there and still look like you have a functioning brow? Is it thin? Is it thick? Are there sparse areas? Or are there even bald spots? Because I've seen when I've done brows, there will be bald spots in certain areas, and that also has an effect on how much hair you can actually remove without that person being uneven and all of that, okay? And also face shape. Some people with a thicker brow, it just doesn't work on. Some people with a thin brow, it just doesn't work on. So think of your overall face shape and how your brow is going to accommodate that and make you look like a normal being, okay? Because if you take off all your brows too much, you're gonna look a hot mess and you're not gonna like it. So being realistic, let me say that again. Being realistic with your brow. What is it? I'm all the way realistic with my brows. I know I ain't got no brows, okay? And I have to go in with a pencil or a pomade and make it happen. That's just my reality. And even then, they're still not really the same, but that's just it. I mean, I'm not going to have that type of brow. Be realistic, okay? Number 2, so you want to wax or tweeze or thread your brows depending on your brows, or depending on what your brow can handle, okay? Now, I'm going to use a few examples here. So I get guests that come in to me and they go, I want a really high arch. Could you give me a really high arch? And I look at their brow and they have a good amount of brow here, but here it's like, let's say for example, well, this is kind of a bad example with me because my brows are filled in, but they have like no hair towards the tail of their brow or towards the end of their brow. There's barely any hair. The problem is this: the moment you start to cut into this part of the brow, you have to take away from the tail to even it out. So if you take away too much from the body of the brow, that tail of that brow is going to suffer so much, and you're going to end up being way thinner than you thought you would be, but you wanted a high arch because you saw it somewhere on Instagram or something. But that person has the hair on Instagram to make that arch happen, and you don't. So wax and tweeze your eyebrows accordingly. You only know, if you look in the mirror, and if your brows are super sparse towards the end, you probably just want to tweeze one or two and call it a day. You wouldn't go in and tweeze or wax a whole bunch. If you have bald spots, you probably will leave certain hairs, certain places. It's just, you want to tweeze or wax according to what your brows can handle, what is in the works for you, okay? And hopefully that makes sense, and I didn't like ramble all over the place with that. But tweeze and wax your brows according to what your brows really are, not what you want them to be, okay? Because the thing about it is, you can go to a waxer and go, give me a high arch. And if that waxer really doesn't care, they'll go, okay, I'll give you a high arch, and they will give you a high arch, and you will be extremely disappointed with the results. Because in our mind, we see brows and we're like, oh, I really want that. But we're not, if you don't take a realistic look at your brows and what your brows can do, and you walk into some place that really doesn't care, they just probably just want your money, or like, give me a high arch, and you're like, okay. And you walk out there with a high arch, but no tail, or 2 strands of hair in your tail, you're going to be super mad, so just really be realistic about it, okay? Number 3 is picking the right product. So pencils, pomade, powder, and a brow gel. They usually have a tinted brow gel you can also use. And that, once again, picking a brow product also too depends on what your brow looks like. For example, for me, powders don't work and brow gels don't work. Why don't those things work? Because I barely have any hair for it to attach on. That sounds bad, right? That sounds horrible. But I have really sparse, thin brows. So if I put them on, it's pretty much like the brow gel is going to cling to just the hairs that are there. It's not going to really give me a shape. It's just going to highlight the hairs that are there. And the powder gets on the skin. It just sits on the skin and it looks weird, okay? They don't really give me the shape that I want to work for. Versus somebody who has thicker brows, you can use a powder and you can use the brow gel, because that just helps to fill in or make their brows look a little bit more fuller. But they already have the shape naturally with the thickness of their brow. They don't need any extra help to create a shape. You get what I'm saying? Now, on the flip side, somebody like me with a sparse brow, thin brow, I use a pencil or a pomade. Today I have on pomade. Now that just latches on to the skin and the hair a little bit better, both pencil and pomade, and it looks a little bit more natural. It doesn't look like it's sitting on skin, and I'm able to make a little bit more of a shape with those, okay? Versus somebody with a thicker brow, it may look overly done. Like if you use a pencil, it may look too harsh. So depending on what your brow realistically is, I would definitely say pick a pomade or a pencil or a tinted brow gel, or what was the other one? A powder, depending on your brow type, okay? And lastly, if push comes to shove, like let's say, you're like, look, I really want those Instagram brows. I'm so tired of going in and trying to get something done. My brows are sparse. They're not working. You also can go get microblading. Microblading is where they tattoo a brow in for you, or they kind of fill in the brow and make it into the shape that you want it to be in and make it look fuller. And that's also a very great option. I've seen a lot of great microblading done and it looks amazing. So push kind of shove, if you're like, yo, I really want the perfect brow, and the perfect brow, like what you see on Instagram or whatnot, you can always go get microblading done, and that just kind of makes you have that perfect brow. There's a lot of maintenance that goes into microblading as well, but you will have the perfect brow in which you are looking for, okay? So hopefully those tips are helpful to anybody out there wondering, what to do about your brows. If they're thin, thicker, barely there, there are a lot of options out there for you when it comes to achieving the perfect brow. Thank you so much for watching. This is your girl Euniycemari. Make sure to rate, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I will see you guys in a later video. Bye.